aerospace and defense manufacturing,
machines and automation,
additive manufacturing,
smart manufacturing,
global manufacturing economy.
Hello, and welcome to Advanced Manufacturing Now, the podcast for manufacturing professionals. Please remember to like and subscribe to our feed. I'm Steve Plum, Editor-in-Chief for SME Media, and I'm pleased to be joined by my fellow editors, Amy Bryson, Carrie Gittert, and David Muller, to talk about the September issue of Manufacturing, Engineering, and Technology. So it's the second issue of MET, which arrived in our offices a few days ago, and hopefully is hitting everyone else's home soon. So first of all, great job, everyone. The magazine looks really sharp and reads well, at least I think so. So we covered a lot of ground from vertical machine centers and metrology to AI and cybersecurity, as well as our annual motorized vehicles report, which you spearheaded, David. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So this year, it really kind of, I think, captures the inflection point that we're seeing in the American the American auto industry and manufacturing, producing the cars. Within that industry, it's kind of an interesting time, and some of it translates across, I think, several different sectors, but some of it's unique to autos, and it's just we have, for example, we'll have within the magazine we have an analyst with S&P Global. Tom Libby, who kind of gives an overview of what's happening in the market. And we'll see, readers will find that there's quite an unprecedented amount of choice in terms of what they can buy. And not just the number of brands and nameplates and models and things like that and options, but also just the different kinds of propulsion systems. I mean, we've got hybrid electric, you got gas, you got fuel cell. And despite, what's kind of happening, this kind of affects, the manufacturers that produce the vehicles too, but the industry as a whole, even with these kind of growing choices of propulsion, it's been kind of having whiplashes. Anyone that kind of pays even partial attention to the news sees that there's incentives in the United States to build electric vehicles, and then lately there's been incentives not to. There's been no incentives to do so. So manufacturers kind of have to stay nimble and adapt. I mean, it's not an easy thing, as probably most of our listeners know, to like retool a factory to build more EVs or fewer EVs and things like that. So it kind of feeds into some of the other things that we have outlined. Like Gary Vasilash will note, he talks about in his article, within the factory of kind of what's happening. And as this is something that I think really translates across industries too, obviously, is that, the automakers are looking for more automation and more advanced technology. And like Hyundai, for example, and this has been getting a lot of press lately because they're doing quite a bit, but their new Meta plant down in Georgia is using all kinds of different new robotics. Like they've got automated guided vehicles, which are just basically automatic vehicles that shuttle around parts and actually whole cars around the plant and things like that. But really, it's kind of, like I said, it goes back to this inflection point where, there's the industry as a whole is kind of stable, but it's kind of like, what's going to happen next here? We got to make things more efficient. And vehicles are going to be, more complicated. We'll see fewer components, but higher prices. And so, one of the things that you keep hearing about with, trying to capture that greater efficiency, of course, is artificial intelligence. And we have an article in there in the Motorized Vehicle Report that kind of details how companies really big and small, from the automakers down to some newer cottage industry like startups, are trying to embrace AI. I know it's a huge buzzword and it gets tons of press, but I mean, it's here and it's happening, and it's automakers are using it to be more efficient. And I think maybe you've heard about AI a little bit yourself, huh, Steve?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like I can go a day without getting 5 or 10 pitches about some new AI technology. I'm not sure if they're coming from AI bots or real people, but we try to keep on top of it. And like you said, it's definitely spreading across sectors. And actually, 2 stories that are contributing editor extraordinaire Kip Hansen did in this issue touch on some of the things that were in the Motorized Vehicle Report. One was on EVs, and he notes that, like you said, that there's kind of a whiplash effect on are there incentives, and even though the growth rate is or the volumes are still relatively small compared to internal combustion engines, that's still growing quite a bit. And in fact, EVs were at an all-time high last year, and are continuing to make headway, especially in global markets. The good thing is that a lot of the manufacturing technology is transferable. So, and I think Gary may have touched a little bit on this in his article too, was that gear components are still similar to what they are in traditional manufacturing models, but there is the high voltage aspect that, and I think this was another article in motorized vehicles, at least on the online version that is coming out, about the safety aspects of that and how you have to train for workers to just to make sure that they're conscious of that and take all the correct precautions. But AI is spreading across all sectors, including machine builders. Trump, for example, is using the technology to allow customers to extract real-time information from sensor data. It's also using AI to analyze images of laser cut edges to drive information that traditional methods can't capture. And this enables operators to scan a workpiece and use an optimization algorithm to determine the most effective cutting parameters for both material and thickness. Mirsec, meanwhile, is using AI to capture organizational tribal knowledge, which is becoming increasingly important as more and more longtime industry veterans retire. This is done by an AI bot, talking about AI bots, that records conversations between people as they're working at a machine, especially as they're helping each other perform a task. The goal is to capture nuances and even the knack of doing a job, that never gets written down otherwise. So that all this information is out there and is being captured, which brings up another important topic that is omnipresent in manufacturing and called cybersecurity. And Amy, I think you're going to tell us a little bit about one of the other stories in the magazine.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Steve. Yeah. So Karen Haywood Queen, she's another one of our intrepid contributing editors. She wrote a feature called Manufacturing the Bullseye for Cybercrime. And it takes a real stark look at the state of cybersecurity preparedness across manufacturing. She spoke with some folks over at Autodesk, Forest Scout Technology, KPMG, and MXD, which is one of the Manufacturing USA institutes. And the article really makes a case for manufacturers to take a front-footed approach to cybersecurity preparedness. And manufacturing jumped to the fourth most targeted industry in 2024, up from sixth the year before. I mean, we're slightly behind, I think, healthcare, FinServ, and something else, but that's according to a 2025 report by Forest Scout. And it also revealed that there's been a 70% increase in the number of threats targeting the sector. That's huge. And one of the biggest myths that Karen talks about is that, small and mid-sized shops think they're too small or unimportant or attractive for cyber attacks. And that's just not true. In fact, small manufacturers are actually at higher risk for cyber attacks. They're seen as easier targets by criminals looking to potentially enter into the larger supply chains. And as the ecosystem is reliant more and more on digital technologies, that's also expanded the attack surface. So with things like Industry 4.0 and this convergence of connected devices evolving, so too should security standards. And it seems like manufacturers are starting to understand the importance of proactive cybersecurity strategies. Not just to maintain resiliency and business continuity, but just to have sound business practices. In fact, MXD did a survey that examined cybersecurity readiness within U.S. manufacturing, and among respondents, 82% said they plan to invest more in cybersecurity preparedness next year, and that's in sharp contrast to 2% that said they're going to spend less. So that's good news for the industry. And there's a ton of prescriptive guidance in the article on how to devise and implement a proactive cybersecurity strategy for manufacturers of all sizes. So that's an article that's definitely worth checking out. And I know, Carrie, you also have a preview of another article worth checking out focused on maybe some new tech related to milling machines.
Yes, that's right, Amy. So this issue's Shop Solutions column focuses on a partnership between Century Tool, which is a company based right here in Fenton, Michigan, that manufactures compression molds for automotive, heavy truck, and other industries. And they were looking for a new milling machine. It was getting costly to do repairs and refurbishments of their existing machinery at their facility here in Michigan. And so they turned to the German supplier, Zimmermann, for a new milling machine, which was the FZU 37. So they were essentially looking for an upgrade in technology, but also in size profile. And one advantage of the FZU 37 was that it had very minimal foundation requirements, so it could fit into the existing foundation pit that was already on the shop floor at Century. And so there were conversations back and forth, planning, and they ended up locking in a new machine that had a greater workpiece capacity than the existing one there at Century, and a greater total travel, 79% more travel than the previous machine in the same amount of floor space, as well as a number of new features: a tool changer, tool laser, touch probe, mist extraction, high pressure coolant, and also a big variable here was a new generation Heidenhain TNC7 control, which has a bunch of new features, a graphical smart programming function that allows the user to draw contours directly onto the touchscreen. But the challenge there was the learning curve with this new control. And fortunately, Century did have an in-house Heidenhain expert on its team who had worked with Heidenhain controls before. And so he was able to actually go over to Germany for the pre-assessment with Century's team, and then come back and do the training on the TNC7 control. And so it was really helpful to have like kind of an in-house expert there. And apparently, from speaking to Tom Bradford, who's the director of manufacturing at Century, the machine has been very successful thus far. He said that the table size, speed, and accuracy have already increased the company's capabilities by 30%. And he said that in that industry, molds are just getting larger and larger, and having a really large bridge portal machine to handle that workload gives a real competitive edge. And they're also now exploring more opportunities in aerospace, and having coolant and tighter finishes and spindle configuration that the Zimmermann machine offers is helping open up that market for them. So this is just a great example of, a company having a real sort of nuts and bolts need for their shop floor, reaching out to a provider and building that relationship, and ultimately getting a solution that serves their needs and helps take their company forward. So it really fits the title of this column, Shop Solutions. That's absolutely what we have here, and sounds like both parties were very happy with the outcome. Speaking of outcomes, I was going to turn it over to Steve.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, the Shop Solutions stories have always been one of our best read in the publication, just because it shows real world applications, how companies are putting new equipment and software to use. And I know you're hard at work at a couple of other future Shop Solutions, as well as a few workforce development stories. And even though we're not going to Germany in the near term, we do have some big travel plans coming up. It's show season for SME. So we're talking now in late August and early September. We have FabTech in Chicago. I know you'll be there, Carrie, along with me and some of the other editors. Then we have the Manufacturing Technology Series coming to California, South Carolina, and Texas. So if any of our listeners are out there, be sure to stop in and say hello. And despite all this exciting travel, I think David has us all trumped with his new adventure. Can you share a little bit about that? what's happening, David?
Well, I planned on just kind of quietly slipping out the back door here while you guys were talking, but no, yeah. So unfortunately, this is my last podcast with SME. I'm not going far. I won't be joining the travels, but yeah, and I feel like I'm leaving SME at a time where it's a really exciting time for particularly the media team. So it is bittersweet because I really enjoy everybody here. I think the readers and the audience are in really, really good hands. But yeah, I'll be working independently for the foreseeable future, and yeah, it's pretty much the long and the short of it.
Well, you're greatly appreciated, and you'll be greatly missed as well. Carrie and Amy, any thoughts on David's departure?
I'm in denial, Steve. So I just feel like I'll still just send him emails and just like route stories for him to proof and just pretend he's still there. That's kind of how I'm feeling about the whole thing.
Well, I was going to give you my personal email address, but
okay, do that. I'll just double up wherever I could get it. I think David's been such a cool experience working with you the past couple of years, and it seems like it's flown by. And I can't wait to see what all the great adventures you get yourself into. And I know it's going to be cool for you to spend some more time with your family and focus on things that matter. Not that, we don't matter to you, of course. It's not what I'm saying, David, but I just look forward to staying in touch and thank you for your contributions and teaching me some stuff along the way too. It's been fun.
Yeah, and I just joined the team earlier this year, and David's been super generous with his time and expertise, showing me the ropes around SME media, and just been so impressed with his writing and his reporting, and just really appreciate the learning experience and the chance to work with him. And I'm hoping to carry on your legacy of excellent work, David, with the team going forward.
Oh, thanks, Gary. That won't be a problem.
Yeah, David, you definitely have a sound background and a special knack for writing news stories quickly. Even those about tariffs, your favorite subject.
Oh my God, David, you're going to be tariff free. Not literally. I mean, you're still pay more at everywhere, but you have to write about it so much, maybe. Wow. Yeah. You'll still dream about it probably for like 6 to 8 months.
Oh, I'm a news junkie too, so I won't be getting away from it at all.
Yeah, in addition to motorized vehicles, which you took the lead on, you also were the lead on our upcoming 30 Under 30 publication, which will be released in about a month. And even though your kids technically qualify for that, they may need a little bit more seasoning.
Yeah. I'm trying to push them to be a little more accomplished at their young age, but.
Well, thanks again, David. And you, as you know, you are at least one of our very important person, our boss's favorite podcaster, because you do such an excellent job. So you'll be not only sorely missed on the written format, but also on the verbal format as well. And to learn more about the latest manufacturing trends and hear more podcasts, visit us at advancedmanufacturing.org. David, I'll give you the last word. What should listeners remember to do?
Please like, subscribe, and share.